Hey guys, this is Tim, and I'm going to talk to you about my sales process. It's called emotional sales, and this is going to help you in your coaching business or your consulting business, because I know it can be rough, right? You put out content, you put out some articles, maybe you're on Facebook, maybe you're using LinkedIn or Instagram, and you're talking to people, but then you get on a call with them, and on that call, how do you get them to buy into your offer? How do you get them to actually go from a call to paying you, signing a contract and committing to work with you for whatever your program length is, whether it's 6 weeks or 6 months or a year, however long it is. And there is an ideal amount of time, by the way. But we're gonna get into my sales process. It's something that we call emotional sales. And the reason I like this process so much is because it's not on the end of the spectrum of being sleazy, of being like, I have to hardcore go for the sale. So if you're an ethical person who actually likes to connect with people and you just love the heart-centered part of business, and you love the part of business that is about connection and people and conversations and helping others, but you need to make money, this is for you. Because what we're gonna learn how to do in this emotional sales process is actually give you sort of a backbone to how you sell people when you have sales calls, when you have conversations over Messenger, over email. I'm gonna give you my system of how to do this, and this is gonna help you because when you get on that call, you won't have to be sleazy, you won't have to be buy now, but at the same time, you can actually have a structure where you work towards getting someone to leave where they pay you, and you and them are gonna work together for a while. So what we're gonna do here is I need you to watch to the end of the video. The reason is because I'm gonna give you an amazing exercise that can help you in your beginning business right now. So if you're in the 9-to-5 lifestyle, if you're a coach who's just starting out and you wanna grow your business to where you're doing it full time, making $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 per month as a beginning point, this video is gonna help you. So stick around to the very end because I'm gonna give you an amazing exercise that's really, really gonna help you use these concepts in your business today. Let's get into the first principle. Okay, so before I get into the process, there's two important things that you have to understand when it comes to emotional sales. Number one, you have to recognize that you are helping them by allowing them to pay you. So back when I was starting my journey in business, this is maybe about 5 years ago now, I've been running a coaching company or multiple coaching companies for about 6 years, 5-6 years. Started back in 2015, and I was really into the dating community then, and that was the first coaching business I ran. We launched our first course in 2000, I believe it was 2018, and we got the company to making 6 figures, around $100,000 a year. And then after a while, I went through some emotional work and started a new company called Live Your Freedom, which you're seeing now, and we're doing very well. Now, when I first started my business, my journey in business, one of the big misconceptions that I had, or the feelings I had that I had to clear and work on, is that I'm taking away from someone and I'm almost getting over on them by having them pay me. And this is one of the deepest principles that I had to work on with my own mindset, my own psychology, was reframing this idea that, hey, I'm not taking away from anyone by having them pay me. Sorry for the noise, we're here near the road, but it's a beautiful shot, so I had to come here. But I had to understand that I'm not taking away from anyone by having them pay me. I'm actually providing value, and I'm actually giving value because I'm giving them the opportunity to learn from me long term. In some of our other videos and on our incubator program, there's something that I teach called a value audit. The reason why this value audit is so important and so helpful is because when you audit what your value is, when you look at your system of coaching, then you can recognize and understand just how valuable what you offer is to the world, and you can do more of it, right? So a lot of us as business owners, we go into business with all this passion, with all this understanding, with all this technical knowledge, but we don't really understand just how valuable what we do is. So we go and we sell people, we hop on these calls, and we get in the middle of the call, and then when it's time for us to leave with some money and tell someone, let's do long-term work, we don't really know how that work is going to help them. We know what we have to offer, we know the value we have to offer, but we don't know how it's going to help them. It's important that you assess your value so that when you're on these kind of calls, you understand this person, by them paying me, they're actually helping themselves grow, right? This person, they're paying me, I'm not taking anything from them at all. I'm taking money from them, but it's just them recognizing you're in a position where you can help me become better, you can help me grow, and I want to be in that place with you, right? They're helping me with this. So, or they understand that I'm gonna help them with this. So you asking for money, and again, on the call, you're not gonna really ask for money. We'll talk about that in a second. But you actually putting yourself out there and saying, hey, let's do some work together. It's this price, by the way, but let's do some work together. You're not taking anything from them. In fact, you're helping them. They're helping themselves by investing in you. It's not someone wins and someone loses. You're not winning, they're not losing. You're not getting over on them. You're not making their lives worse because they lost money. No. It's an investment. People invest all the time. People invest in Netflix. People invest in buying a new car. People invest in a PlayStation 5 or the iPhone 12. That's what I'm going to be investing in, right? You have to understand that this is not about them losing and you winning, or even vice versa. This is about two people agreeing to help each other get to a new place. How are they helping you? Because they're actually investing and they're going to build with you and they're going to be a part of your tribe. How are you helping them? You're going to help them be a new person. You're going to help them get those new results. Okay, the problem number two, or the thing you need to understand about sales before we get into the structure, which we'll look at in a bit, is in emotional sales, you need to establish a frame of what's going to happen on the call, and you need to do this early on. Okay, principle number two, and this is another part of the mindset work before we get into the process, is that you can't try to coach. You cannot try to coach them on this call. One of the biggest misconceptions that I had when I was starting sales and I was growing in my business back in the day was every time I'd get on a call, like a call where someone would say, hey, I may want to do some work with you. How can we work together? How can I be a part of your program? Whenever I would get on those calls, I would always try to coach the person into actually like working with me and understanding what I was doing. And I was so much into the coach, the artist part of things, I was obsessed with coaching them on the call. So we'd get on a call, and instead of me talking about how we could actually do work together in the future, I would coach them on my process. I would coach them on what they needed right now. And I'll tell you the truth, sometimes it worked, right? Some people bought in. Some people were like, this is awesome. How can I hear more of this? But there was a very specific kind of person that actually understood that. It wasn't most people. Most people wouldn't actually pay me. Most people wouldn't buy in. So what I had to learn how to do was remove the aspect of wanting to coach all the time on the call and say, no. The coaching is for after they commit to doing work with me, after they commit to a long-term program. Instead, right now, which is the process we're going to get into right here, I'm not going to focus on coaching. Instead, I'm going to focus on how I can help them in the future. Then I'll coach them once they've invested and once they've committed to working with me, right? So your goal on these calls, again, these two mindsets, I want to clear them here. One, you're not taking anything away from the client you're talking to or the person you're talking to by asking them for money. You're not taking anything away from them. And number two, your goal on these calls is not to coach. The coaching will happen in the future once they commit to working with you, but the goal is not to coach. Okay, I'm gonna get into the process of how to do emotional selling so that you can close some amazing deals and you can work with some amazing quality clients. We're gonna get into that right now. Let's do it. Okay, step number one in our emotional sales process is something we call understanding and frame. So it's very important that when you get onto a call with someone, they very clearly know why they're there. Because a lot of times people don't. A lot of times people get on the call and of course they have the idea, they understand, oh, this person's gonna try to pitch me, but there isn't a clear direction, and you taking off the pressure and just saying, hey, I got you. Hey, you're good. And you know how I tell you, when you're on a call, you don't want to be coaching, you can actually compensate for that by giving them direction and by giving them understanding, right? So an example of giving them understanding would be, okay, man, here's what we're gonna do on this call. I wanna accomplish 3 things with you here, right? And those 3 things could be the step-by-step system kind of 3 things that you wanna accomplish on the call to get them from, hey, hello, here's what we do with our program, here's you finding out about me, to thank you for working with us, let's get some work done together long term, right? So direction and understanding is super, super important. Now, it's important that when you get on the call, the person you're talking to fully knows and understands why they're there. And you have to communicate that to them, because people will not just buy into you. People won't respect you and trust you unless they fully understand this is what's gonna happen by me talking to Sarah or John, right? Or Christy, whatever your name is. They need to understand that this is what happens when they talk to you. They have to understand that this is the purpose and this is what's going to be accomplished by them talking to you. A lot of times as coaches and business owners and entrepreneurs and consultants, we tend to not do this. What we tend to do instead is to go into the conversation, just kind of shooting the shit and saying, how are you doing today? How can I help you? And then we leave it open and then we try to work our way to the sale part, but we don't have a structure of getting there. So what I like to do on my calls, I like to always start start off by saying, we're gonna find out where you're at now and kind of what your issues are, what you're going through, why we're here today. 2, we're gonna look at some actions you can use today to grow and to get there. And then number 3, I'm gonna look at how you can do it with me and how we can do this together if it's a good fit, right? And there's different kind of ways I break this down with them, and there's a specific way that I say this, but this is my process. It's sort of a 3-part frame structure where I tell them, here's what we're going to accomplish by being here on this call. And you can't miss this. You have to do it. There's no like, sometimes I'm gonna do it if I feel it, or sometimes I won't. This is something that you have to do. And the reason you have to do it is because if you don't, people simply will not always buy into following you and your path on the call. So when you try to sell, which is something that requires them to be bought in, right? When you sell and say, hey, give me money. When you get to that point, if they're not bought in and they don't deeply respect you, it's going to be very hard for you to transition between giving value and then going to that point of, selling and offering. Okay, part number 2 of our process. So number 1 is understanding and frame, where you create the understanding and the frame of why they're there. Part number 2 is bring the pain forward. This is huge because you really want it to stick in why they're there. You really want it to be super clear as to why this person is on a call with me. So what you want to do is you want to bring the pain forward. Now, when I say bring the pain forward, I don't mean dive into some sob story with them about, how their life is miserable and why they need to do better and why they suck. None of that. That's super negative stuff. We don't want to do that. But what you need to identify is what are they lacking in their life right now and how is it affecting them, right? So I used to teach dating, and let's say that I would have a client who recently had a divorce and wanted to get back into the dating scene. Those are some of the clients I would work with. And what will happen is he'll come on the session with me, and I'll say, what's going on? How are you doing? Here's what we're going to work on, the 3 steps. And he says, cool. So I'll say, tell me what's going on with you. And he says what's going on with him. He says, just got a divorce. I'm looking to get back in the dating scene. I feel like I'm not as confident as I was before. Then my next thing is why? Why are you not as confident? Why does that matter? How do you know you're not as confident? I'll really dive into the why behind the pain, and I'll bring the pain forward. So it won't be where the pain is like, oh, interesting, and where do you want to get to? I'll get to that point later. But first is always, what's the pain and how can we make that pain real? Because before someone can identify that they have to work with you, they first need to identify what they don't have. And what they don't have is coming from pain. What they're lacking is coming from the pain. So the pain must become real. This is why on all of my calls that I ever do, I always start off saying, what's the problem with this? What's the problem with having any of these things that you're lacking right now? For our business clients, a lot of them, people that came from a 9-to-5 job, want to get out of that lifestyle and want to build a coaching brand and want to do a full-time coaching business. With everyone who gets on calls with me, I'll say, what's the problem you're having right now? But I won't just stop at what's the problem, I'll say, what's the pain behind it, right? Why? You can't sell people, right? No one's closing on your sales calls, no one's joining in and buying into your program. What's the problem there? Why does that matter? Then they'll go into that, all right? I don't have enough money to really pay for the things I want without having a bunch of side hustles. Okay, what's bad with having side hustles? Why does that suck? Because maybe I don't have enough time to spend with my girlfriend or my husband. Maybe I don't have time for that. Okay, what's the problem with that though? Why does that matter? Who cares? Like, why do you need to spend more time with them? Right? You dig into the pain, and then we get to the real root of what's going on, right? So understanding and frame is over here, understanding and frame, and then on the other side, you have bring forward the pain. You have to bring the pain forward. It has to become a real thing. Before you bring the pain forward, people won't actually buy into why they're there, right? So the understanding and frame is them buying into you, and then there's buying into why they're on the call, right? So there's a couple buy-ins that have to happen when you're on a call. One is them buying into you. They have to buy into like the idea of you as a coach, the idea of you as a consultant, the idea of, okay, this person's got me, this person's in control of what's gonna happen in the next 20 to 30 minutes. Then the next buy-in that needs to happen is their own suffering and their own pain. They need to realize, holy crap, I have a problem. Something's actually wrong, like I have an issue. I need to clear this, I need to work on this. Okay, we're gonna get to the second half of this right now, but I wanna tell you this. If you're learning from this and if you're growing from this, do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be making a lot more of these videos. I'm going to be coming out with some incredible teaching for you amazing human beings. So if you're learning this and you're getting value, I don't want you to miss out on what we're doing. I don't want you to get lost in the sea of content that's out there. So press the little subscribe button. It takes a second. You can even press the bell next to it if you want. Press the subscribe button. Let's get into the next half of the video. Okay, so now we're going to get to step number 3 and 4 in our emotional sales process. Okay, so step number 3 is something we call what's the dream? What is the dream of where they want to be. So once they recognize the pain, and again, this is so important, once you start that understanding and create that frame, and then they understand their pain, and their pain becomes a real thing, then the next step would be, what's the dream? Where do they want to be? What does this new lifestyle look like? So first you have to recognize what that pain is. How are they suffering because they don't have this result? Then what's the other side? So imagine a bridge, right? On one side of the bridge is the pain. The other side of the bridge is the dream. We're near a bridge here in Budapest right now. So one side is the pain, one side is the dream. What is the dream? What does the other side of the bridge look like to them? Make this real. What kind of results do they want to have? Where do you want to be? Where do they want to be? Why are they on this call? When they came on here, what was their vision for what they could have in their life? Is it a real thing? What does it look like? What kind of lifestyle will they live? How would their life change if they didn't have this pain and if they had it solved? This is why we call, you have to make the dream real. What's the dream? The dream has to be a real thing. Just as real as the pain has to be, so does the dream. Because they have to understand that there's a gulf between the life they want and where they are now. And what's interesting is that for everyone, this gulf is not going to be the same. Everyone's not going to have the exact same dream, the exact same pain. Some people's pain will be relatively minor in comparison to others, and some people's dream will be minor. So you're going to have to find out how to build that bridge. This is what we teach in our programs, how you can do this. You have to find out how to build that bridge. And I want you to do this on your calls, because when you do this, people will really buy into the idea of your programs, and they'll buy into the idea of how you sell, the idea of how they could work with you, and the idea how you guys can make a movement together. It's super, super incredible. So build the dream, or make a vision of the dream. What's the dream? Ask that question. What is the dream? Where do you want to be? The way I ask this kind of is like, what would happen if you didn't have this pain and these issues? Well, let's say that you were able to have healthy relationships. What could your life look like? And a lot of times the person I'm talking to will say, I'm not sure really. I say, no, let's dig into it. Like, play around with this. Just let's do this as a thought experiment. What kind of life could you have, right? Or if I'm working with a business client and they say they're struggling with sales, or they're struggling having clients chase them, I'll say, what if clients were messaging you all the time? What would your life look like? How would your business run? What would things be like then if your clients are messaging you always? And then they paint the dream for themselves, and I paint it with them, right? We figure out what's this dream. We build this dream together, okay? Then what you do is you say, how can I help you get there, right? I know what we can do. Here's how I can help you. And that's when you give the most coaching you're ever going to give on this call, which isn't going to be much, where you're going to say, okay, I think I know where you're at. And if this person's a good fit, by the way, because sometimes people won't be a good fit. Sometimes they won't be. But if they're a good fit, what you want to do is walk them down a path of what you guys could do together. So I understand where you're at. We have this program, and our goal is to get you to this, that, and this, and that. And the goals that you want to get them to are what their dreams are, right? So you bring back the dream, and you essentially tell them, I am the bridge. I am the person who can help you get there. I can help you build this path. I can help you get to this place, right? You're the person who's going to build the dream for them. You're the person who's going to get them from the pain to the dream. You are simply a bridge, and they're going to hold your hand, and they're going to walk with you on this journey and go with you there. And then you're going to let them go once they get to the dream. Because as a coach, as a consultant, sometimes it depends on what industry you're in, but you don't always want everyone relying on you all the time 24/7. Your goal is not to get your clients hooked on you where they can't go to anyone else for any work. You don't want to do that. But so you paint the dream after they understand the pain, and after they think that pain becomes really real for them, and you become the person that they can rely on to grow, that they can rely on to do work with, and then they pay you. That's the process. So number one is understanding and frame, right? You create the understanding and the frame of why you're there. Number two, you have to bring the pain forward. So you bring that pain forward. They have to understand, this is the pain that I'm going through. It's a real thing. My pain is real, right? Number two, you have to, what's the dream? You have to ask, what's the dream? Where do you want to be? What's the vision that you want to have in the future, and what could your life look like, right? Number four, how can I get you there? How can we build a bridge together? We'll both build this, and how can we get you across from this pain over to the dream? It's emotional sales, and it's super effective. I want you guys to understand that before you can do this, so there's two mindsets you need to have. Number one, you're not trying to coach anyone. You're not going to coach them on the call. The call is not a coaching call. You get paid for your coaching calls or your consulting calls. You're not going to do an audit of their business. You're doing none of that on the call. To an extent, you can frame it that way or word it that way, but that's not the goal of the call. The goal is not for you to coach them and not to provide lots of value and get them to the next level on that call. That's what you get paid for. Number two, you also have to understand that you can ask for money. You can charge. You're not taking anything away from them by asking them. They're investing in themselves, and by them paying you, they're only helping themselves. They're only growing. This is not you asking and them giving to you and them losing something. Haha, I won, yes. You could say yes and reward yourself for a good job done and bringing someone else into your tribe and into your community, but it's not, what you're doing is not necessarily a luck-based thing like, oh, I got lucky and someone threw some cash at me. It's not that. Recognize what your value is. Okay guys, so what I did was I made a free training video. It's completely free, and if this stuff resonates with you, if this teaching we did here on sales and emotional sales resonates with you, there's a free training video that I made. The link is down below. I'm gonna also put the link at the end of the video, but go and check out the free training. It literally explains to you how you can build your own online coaching business outside of the 9-to-5 life, outside of the 9-to-5 job. If you're a new coach or consultant or service provider, and if you're getting out of that 9-to-5 life, or if you're still in the life of working a job, but you think you have something to offer to the world and people could pay you for you to help change their lives, go check out my training. It's literally a free video that breaks down the step-by-steps of how you can build your online coaching business. It's so incredible and it's so powerful. Go check it out. It's completely free. Just click the link and type your information in so we can send it to you, and there you go. All right, you guys are amazing, beautiful, incredible people who are motivated and just want to crush it in life. I'm gonna leave you guys there. I'll talk to you soon in maybe a couple days or so when the next video comes out. I love you all. Take care.